Hello everybody, this is JP3 here coming at you with another Deathless, Painless, Exploitless run through Halo 2's Legendary difficulty. Today we will be tackling none other than Gravemind. Playable mission number 10, perhaps the hardest mission in the Halo Pantheon. I say perhaps as if there's even a doubt or even a question. It is by far the most arduous and terrifying mission, especially if you're trying to go deathless on it. And if you know anything at all about my channel, I did have a run of this that was one death, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't let the obsession go. Went back and recorded this one. It is a 0 death run. Don't know if it's painless, but here we go. So, as you probably know, I tackle this much like everyone else does. Try to find a pillar, peek out before I get shot, and use the super combining ability of the Needlers to get a kill on the brutes who are otherwise highly resistant to damage. Try to pick up, if I can find them both, the brute plasma rifles. Hop up on one of these pillars where I can continue to get the aggro from the brute, but not be in a position to be attacked by it. Then once the two honor guard brutes are dead, you get these 4 grunts that ran away initially. They come out from doors. I just meet them right at the door, as you saw there. That took that ultra down. Just kind of ran him over. As you probably realize, it's a really important thing to try and get into these upper sections before the enemies get here. Now, after the first wave, the one we just finished, passes, you do get a nice little bit of time before this one starts. But I still advise you make haste. Now, as you notice here, we're using the Needler from way up here to get kills on these brutes, and in some cases, purposefully or not, the grunts. I still think using the Needler for that kind of work is, there's a lot of RNG to it, but after a while you kind of start to get a feel of a skill maybe that's involved with it. Moving in a certain way, angling your body, your chief's body in certain ways to try to get the desired effect. It takes a little bit of practice, but I definitely don't want to imply that there's some easily explained trick that makes it 100% of the time a thing that you'll get a super combine when you need it most. So we're just waiting for a chance to kill this grunt miner. Throw a grenade down there. He doesn't hop out of the way fast enough. And now we're on to Wave 3. Wave 3 is just like Wave 2. The only variance is the ranks and the weapons held by the grunts, and then the weapons held by the brutes. I guess I should say the only variances are those things. The ranks of the grunts and their weapons, and the weapons of the brutes. Waves 5 and 6 will play out the very same way. Wave 4 is the most unique wave aside from the very first, and it is the most difficult wave, and we'll get into it right after I get finished mopping these guys up. For some reason, I forget to grab the carbine that I believe was over there by those 2 brute bodies. I believe another brute had come out with a carbine. I forgot to grab it.
Watch out for the captain. It's got a brute shot.
But right there, I did make a mistake in terms of trying to get the brute captain there with the brute shot. Trying to super combine him. That's I wouldn't have done that any differently looking at the video of it now. He is who you want to focus on because his brute shot and its splash damage and his I just call it the brute sniper rifle half the time. His accuracy with it is uncanny. He does not use it like a grenade launcher, which is what the weapon generally functions as. That was an MLG throw there. It is, again, brute sniper rifles, the best way to describe it, except for it deals major splash damage. So you want to focus on him first because there's not enough cover you can get from that kind of weapon. Now, once you have 2 enemies remaining here, and only 2... So now once we kill this guy or one of the other grunts, we will have 2 brutes with carbines come through on either of these top levels. It can be both brutes on the same level, so right here with me, or it can be both on the other side or alternating. They can come through one of 3 doors on each side. Every time I seem to camp at this door, this brute comes out. It actually isn't really that big of a deal. I rarely die when I take that approach. Try to dodge the melee, of course. The melee of the brutes is really spastic and unfair in Halo 2, but oh well. But once I dodge it and then move back into the room where he came from, I just used the super combine and get the kill with the needlers. Usually he drops the carbine. It isn't firing it directly at me in a position like that once he's recovering from his melee attack. So... And if you notice that I used the kind of corner of the door to shield myself from a brute coming through any of the other doors that are on my side, if you stay back far enough, the brutes on the other side can't or won't shoot at you with the carbine. They both always have carbines. So here comes Wave 5, very similar to Wave, or exactly similar to Wave 2 and 3 with the randomness that I mentioned earlier. Alright, so here in a little bit, I'm going to have to... there's going to be a pause in the gameplay, a very quick pause. That is due to the fact that I'm using the Xbox One DVR, which only records for 10 minutes at a time. However, I'll let you read the text below, but ultimately I had some audio problems, and I just lowered the volume for the game as a result, because it can be really confusing having the audio be so far off as it is. It only happens for about 10 minutes, this one clip, and then there's the final clip that it happened with. As you can see here, I'm just, again, the brutes are coming through, and the brutes and grunts are coming through in the very same way for these last 2 waves. I've got a grunt with a needler apparently that's hiding. He's our last kill here. Once we kill him, we will be able to move on from this room. You'll know when everyone's dead, when Cortana says what she just said. I don't know if you were able to hear that. I did turn the volume down, didn't I? But yeah, so once she says to put her in one of the consoles there near the door, that means all the enemies are dead. If she doesn't say that, then there's somebody hiding somewhere. So it's hard for me to call this painless because of how much it took to get this Deathless run without doing any kind of exploits, any kind of speedrunning tactics, without having the Envy Skull, without sword flying. Not that I'm an expert at that, but it really took a lot out of me, so I would hardly argue this is painless. However, if I change the criteria for painless in my mind just a little bit, and I look at it in terms of, you know, just beating the level, then this is pretty painless. You may die while doing it. I certainly did many times before I was able to string together a Deathless run. But yeah, it is pretty painless, especially since in this level, unlike maybe some in Halo 2, and in other Halos, there's a lot of gaps and pauses in between very intense combat. During those gaps and pauses, you're almost always getting a checkpoint. So for this to be more painless for you, I would advise that you not try to run it Deathless. It's completely unnecessary. There is no achievement tied to that that I'm aware of. So yeah, this is a painless run if you don't mind dying and or maybe having a couple of early restarts in that council chamber. I'm hoping that the gameplay kind of spoke for itself there. You got 4 or 5 grunts depending on how many you kill in the early part of the of coming into this room. Usually you'll face 3 to 4 there. If you kill 2 or 3 fast, then the rest of them will run. But and then you'll have 2 brutes that always have carbines. Here you have 2 honor guard brutes. That one always has a brute plasma rifle. This one always has a carbine. I try to shoot the guy with a brute plasma rifle first. Very same setup here, except for their regular brutes, not honor guard brutes. And so here you have one with a brute plasma rifle, and one with a carbine. It appears as if I killed one of them just then. It's funny, I didn't notice it, but I get this guy, and he really did surprise me. I was not expecting him to come up here that fast, which is insanity on my part. So I almost lost the run there, which actually wouldn't have been a bad place to lose it. But after you kill all but 2 enemies that are initially in this area, so you have 2 honor guard brutes, 2 regular brutes, and 2 jackals. Once there's only 2 remaining, you'll have grunts come up the grav lift there. Once you kill enough of them, then you'll have 3 brutes come up. The grunts can come up either 4 of them or many more than that. I'm not really sure what determines that, but they almost always will set down turrets. Right there front and center, as you see, and as you saw as I was being fired upon, they also can set up on both the right and left side at the far ends. Those are the ones you want to watch out for because you don't see them immediately. And you start walking confidently, all of a sudden you're out in the open, and those little tiny turrets there will chew you apart. Notice how I'm looking for those turrets now. I do not see them. This appears to be the 4 grunt group that we got. So here we've got a berserking brute, as we saw earlier, and then we've got the other guy over there who was not berserking. So clearly this guy is from the first 3, and that guy was from the last 3. The first 2 brutes rather, and that guy was from the last 3 that came up the lift. One of those brutes that comes up the lift does have a brute shot. You're usually far back enough if you stay in my position near the door that it won't fire at you with it before you can either get a super combine or you use your super combine, or you use the carbine to kill him. This was a big mistake. I actually accidentally fell down, this is also a mistake too. I accidentally fell down a little bit too fast there, slid off of this pillar. This is normally what I would do. Then I would wait for them to come out and shoot them stealthily, focusing wholly and solely on the jackal sniper first, and then everybody else dies however they die. I did not do that, but fortunately I ran into that little mechanic where the jackal sniper drops his sniper rifle as soon as you get that close to him. And so thank goodness I didn't get shot at point blank range there, eyeball to eyeball with the guy. So as we come into this circular room, as you notice there's 3 jackals that move through. If you just leave them be and they don't see you, they will stay over there. If they see you and get all the way to that door and it closes, rest assured they'll be coming back through. I usually like to try to kill them just in case. I don't want to have to wait until they pass by, all that stuff. I usually just try to kill them as they're coming through. And here you'll start off with 2 jackals and a brute. Once you kill all but one of those enemies, then you'll have 2 brutes and I believe 4 grunts come through that door. The brutes' weapons and the grunts' ranks and weapons are random. Sometimes you can get 2 brute shots, sometimes you can get 2 brute plasma rifles in terms of what the brutes are wielding. Obviously, you'd prefer plasma rifles over the brute shots. They can wield carbines as well. It's a mixed bag. Here we've got probably the worst combination we could get, which is a carbine and a brute shot. It's not really that big of a... I've run out of carbine ammo there, but it's not really that big of a deal, especially if you're double-fisting needlers in here. Notice how he commits to that position. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't, but if you're double-fisting needlers, then you can take advantage of it a lot more easily. If you're going carbine to carbine with him, or beam rifle to carbine with him, I promise you he's going to win 95% of the time. He must have taken some other damage. That was pretty fast. Alright, so you saw the carbine case there. Now, when you come through here, once you pass this line, Cortana will start speaking. There's a couple of grunts that are sleeping over here. I usually like to take care of them because they are annoying really fast and really quick. But after a certain point, once you trigger that, the jackals will come through on a timer. I think it been 3 to 5 seconds afterwards. Notice how I just put the pressure on them as I walked by there, and they really didn't get any shots off. And I could do that a lot more easily since I'd killed the Ultra that was sitting by the door, who would have hopped down much like that miner grunt did, and probably thrown a grenade and caused me a lot of problems. So here I'm going to try to stick that brute. There's 2 brutes in here. And then several grunts. I think 5 or 6 grunts are in this room. I'm not sure the exact number. Usually once you kill one brute, the other one will start berserking unless they're far enough apart. We just kind of took care of them there before we ever presented as a threat either way. There are stealthier and faster ways to move through these rooms. I just don't use them for this series because I'm trying to clear all areas and kill all enemies, and show you that that can be done if you desire to play the game like that, which I think most people do. I think most people play casually, but if you do want help with speedrunning or stealthing through some of this, I would certainly advise you to be careful, because not every method is consistent when it comes to Halo 2, especially on Legendary, on Gravemind, but whereas this method is also not consistent, but at least you feel like you've got a little more control whenever you're clearing rooms, as opposed to hoping to sneak past enemies that may be randomly placed or whose alert levels may be higher than you anticipated due to reasons that you have no control over or awareness of. It's hard to tell you how many brutes are in this room. I know that it starts out with 3 brutes and 2 jackals with shields. However, I'm taking a little bit extra time here to look for needler ammo, but I really don't need to do that. So we're going to have our sound back now, and this is going to be a lot easier for me to, because I am listening, and it does kind of help me keep up with things. So it starts out with 3 brutes and 2 shield jackals. However, through either one of the 2 doors that you see, including one, either of the 2 doors you see on your right and left, and including one in the center, you can get a group of brutes. I think it can be 1, it can be 2, and maybe even 1 or 2 grunts. So, right in his face. And those brutes, I would say, the ones that come through those doors, sometimes I don't even know where they're grunts. I'll hear the grunts, I don't know where they end up. I'm not sure what goes on with those spawns. I really don't. Without a theater mode, it's really hard to tell. However, I want to make sure this is very clear. With the brutes that come through those doors, they will charge your position past that door from the room where we just came from. The brutes that are actually in this room standard will not do that. And not that I've ever experienced. So just to make sure you don't get surprised like I kind of almost was there, but really wasn't. This is a very important part of this recording. So we're about to be ready to go into the prison section. However, we just ran into a major snag. It's a really stupid, ridiculous, idiotic snag, but it's a snag nonetheless. Now, if a brute body falls onto that portal, or whatever you want to call that there, when Cortana opens it, it will fall through and it will alert the enemies at least in the very next room below, or the first room where you'll have enemies. Normally you drop down, pass by them, they don't even see you. If that body goes through, they will see you, and they will almost always kill you before you can even make it to the prison. I don't know for sure, but if that body drops all the way down, it could also alert or put on a higher alert the brutes and the grunts and the jackals in the prison itself. So what we're doing now is we're going all the way back to the first of the level. Yes, I know, big time fun here. We're going all the way back to the first of the level to reset their alert levels. Hard to explain, but I feel like once you get past a certain point, the enemy's alert levels die back down to kind of a normal, non-combat, I think combat's about to happen type level. And that's what I'm hoping for here. I'm 100% sure that if I'd have dropped down when that brute body fell, or shortly thereafter, I would have been either killed, or I would have gotten lucky and got a grenade stick on that brute, and maybe the other grunts, whoever's in there, wouldn't have killed me at the same time. And I'm almost sure that by doing that, you could also set off the prison and have them alert to you before you even have a chance to defend yourself properly. Notice here, I'm able to drop down, but right at the end, you do see where they are turned around. So they could see me because they were out of position, but their alert level was low enough that I could drop through before they actually attacked. Now, when I come through here, I look at the top floor, I see a jackal in a terrible position. He should be able to see me from there, but he doesn't before I have a chance to get down to the bottommost level. I strongly advise you go to the bottommost level, to this exact corner, and I'll explain that in a little bit. What we will have here is we will have enemies that are coming in, that are enemies that were originally here, that were all sleeping and patrolling. They will start coming down to us. The brute that I did not backsmack will stay up there, and that's actually a good thing. He will stay up there in a state of berserking, unless he falls off or jumps off, which is rare but does occur. I actually want him to stay alive up there. So I come back and get on this case just to make it a little bit easier to see, but if these guys start if these guys get the jump on me, I'm going to get back down. I'm going to get down and use the box for cover. Now, once you kill all the enemies that were already in this room, you will have a random spawn in one of those doors, all the doors in this prison except for one, of course. You will have a group come through, and it's also randomly construed. It doesn't have to be a brute, it can be two brutes, and if you have two brutes, you will almost assuredly have one that berserks when you kill the first one. You can get a bunch of jackal majors, as I'm getting here. It's really a crapshoot. The key point is that in this corner, you will not get that group coming through the door that's immediately to our left. The reason why is because, as I assume, is because that door is housing, is one of the two areas in this prison where Marines are being held, and you will be ultimately freeing them. I'm assuming that's why I never see them come through there. Once we're done with the beam rifle, sometimes I can have it full at this point, other times, I mean completely full. Other times it's much harder, as you saw there, we got a bunch of jackal majors, and I wasn't, that's a mistake, I wasn't dominating, that little drop there, and I wasn't dominating quite as much, and so, so I can use it almost all up. So either way, I'm going to oh crap, there we go. Either I'm going to put down the beam rifle to come back for it later perhaps, or I'm going to put it down to be done with it forever. In this case, I'm just going to be done with it at least forever because I've used it up. But main thing is to make sure and get yourself a brute shot. It's really helpful in situations you may find yourself in as you try to orchestrate this prison break. And of course, always have a carbine. I just want to let you know, I'm pretty sure that at the time that I was playing this, I did not realize that I killed that brute. So you're going to see me be a little extra cautious leading up to the point of me going to free the prisoners on the middle level. By the way, it can be the middle or the lower level. It's random. There's no way to control which one's going to be or know which one's going to be. But I'm pretty sure that at the time I didn't know I killed that brute, so I'm a lot more careful here. If it's the middle level, they're going to come out of the door that's now straight in front of me. But you'll also have jackals come through random doors throughout the prison, except for, of course, the ones that that the brute, in this case it's a brute and multiple jackals that come through this door. If it's the lower level, it's two brutes and multiple jackals. I missed the stick here, but the main goal is to disturb that jackal, if not kill him, so I can focus on the brute with his brute sniper rifle over there. He can kill you no matter how much you strafe, no matter how skilled you are. So if you get past him, thank your lucky stars. It may not be a terrible idea to move in towards him and try to stick him with the grenade, but you do what you got to do. I will be killing every Marine. I think I give this guy a pass because I know he's going to be dead as long as I do the strategy the way I want to. But I kill every Marine before we get to the point where it's time to get ready to leave this place, because in one of my runs while doing this, while trying to get the Deathless run, this very same evening that I recorded this, I was into the prison in 14 minutes, 18 minutes I was ready to leave. One of the Marines that you'll find in the lower level had a needler and was shooting it at an enemy. Problem is that those needles were immediately, as soon as they came out of his weapon, deflecting off of the crate. We were in the center of the room, and hitting me. I didn't realize it because the only enemy that was staying there was one that I was busy meleeing to death with a brute shot. It was a grunt. But of course I'm at the grunt where the needles are tracking, or the needles just were hitting me by total random, and I died. It was massively heartbreaking, ridiculously stupid, and something that I will never experience again. The Marines have screwed me out of many runs playing a number of Halos, and unless I absolutely need them for something very specific, I err on the side of caution and do not use this. Do not avail myself of their services. So as soon as you free these guys, you'll get a group that will of brutes, jackals, grunts. It's usually not more than 2 brutes. Sometimes it's no brutes, jackals, and grunts that will come after you. Your Marines there, the brutes and the grunts will lob grenades at them like the catch skulls on. And the reason why that is, in my cynical opinion, is because the AI, this game knows that the friendly AI suck at dodging grenades. I mean, suck real bad. And so they throw grenades, and of course they usually wipe them out unless you're actively trying to prevent that. I've learned over time that actively trying to prevent that is not worth the trouble. Like I said before, your own Marines can kill you, and of course you never see it coming from them. So, you know, you're much more vulnerable to their idiocy and stupidity than you are the aggression of these jackals and brutes and such. So, long story short, I get rid of them anyway. But even if I was to not have that feeling towards them and didn't mind whether they lived or died, didn't actively try to kill them, I still wouldn't come out here and try to keep them alive, because that seems to be, in my experience, a much more perilous proposition for you than it is helpful for you if they stay alive. So again, and that mainly has to deal with the fact that they are grenade magnets. And yeah, so, and I can't always see when a grenade's being thrown at them. I can see when a grenade's being thrown at me most of the time, but not so much when a grenade's being thrown at them. And so I'd rather, instead of tanking damage for them trying to keep them alive, I'll let them tank damage. Hell, they've got more damage resistance than I do. And so I'd much rather just let that take place instead. So make sure as you're going through the prison to keep your ammo stocked. Now, in this situation, it's quite a bit easier, although it doesn't play out the way you would think it was supposed to. Theoretically, you come in here, melee this brute from the back, and then melee all the grunts as they slept. That's not how it works. Every time I've gone in that room trying to execute that plan, the grunts and wake up, the brute turns around, and you can guess what happens next. There's no amount of skill that's going to keep you from dying under those circumstances on legendary difficulty on Halo 2. And so the best thing to do is to stick the brute and then stay back and headshot as many grunts as you can, being careful not to get too crazy with it, because you can let the door shut, let your shields recharge, and finish off whatever remains after your shields have recharged. I think what I meant to do there was pick up that weapon that he dropped, the carbine, and use it for ammo, but then I realized it really doesn't matter. I let them pick up their weapons for a reason, because I wanted to have this overfilled carbine. Notice how normally it would be 72 rounds plus the 18, I believe it is, it's in the chamber. Now we have 138 total. Quite a bit of a difference. Not one that's overly helpful at this specific spot, but because this is the easier of the waves that come through after you I don't know, you do something in the prison and a wave comes out. This seems to be the easiest, and that's probably because the main wave that's supposed to be a threat that comes down that grav lift, well, you probably know about the glitch, but here they come. So if you go to the middle part of this level, or you come into one of the prison blocks, you almost always have them all just fall through the grav lift that they're supposed to be coming down very gently and gingerly. They just fall to their deaths. It's kind of fun to watch if you happen to catch it. They fall down like gravity is I don't know, pulling on them really hard. I don't really have an analogy there. I'm tired. And their weapons are bouncing everywhere. It's a hell of a sight. And it's a glitch that's very hard to avoid unless you want to put yourself in the line of fire for enemies that may still be around and hanging out that I'm not seeing yet, or from those enemies themselves. See here, we get a surprise group of grunts that for whatever reason never came down to attack us. And I hear a brute now up there, so this prison section is not over yet. This is a longer run than the one death run I posted. The reason for that is in part because I didn't have the best council chamber or prison that I've ever had. The other reason is this garbage. Normally these guys would have came down. I knew we were short some morons, but now I'm having to fight this battle essentially twice. And so we're going to get a much slower exit from this prison. Usually I'm out of here on average by about 25 minutes. And now we're looking at almost 30 because of the... If you remember earlier, I had to go back all the way to the first level to reset the alert levels to make sure this whole section would be viable in the first place. And then now I'm having to do this garbage. So it's costing us lots of minutes. So I'm not sure what's going on with the brute. I just know he has a carbine, and all it takes is 1.5 seconds or less for him to find me out in the open and kill me. So I'm not about to ruin this run because I want to hurry up out of here. I don't know why this coward's doing this. Brutes don't usually behave this cowardly whenever, you know, it's just one-on-one. So, but we take care of him. We take his ammo, and I believe that's everybody. As you can see with that kind of example, you're never fully confident or safe in this level, or in this game as a whole, but certainly in this level. You never know when the enemy AI is going to do something totally ridiculous and stupid that and to be honest with you, I don't know what's worse or what the difference is sometimes. Are they just being idiots? Is it broken? Is it stupid? Or is this some overly crafty strategy that was programmed in for them to wait and lie in wait like that? I don't know. I don't know. But either way, we're out of there for the love of God with no deaths.
Fear not, my brothers, the sacred icon is secure. It was Tartarus and his brutes who took the icon.
So, for this is one of the most this is one of those rooms you can underestimate. So, I would open the door from that little ledge there. That's something that I've seen multiple people do, including some recent runners. I think it's a really good idea. It's not something I did back when I had H2C. I used to handle this much differently because I'd usually try to keep the Marines alive and blah, 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 blah. But long story short, open from that ledge, spam grenades, spam the brute shot, and see who all you can kill. You should be able to kill them all, but, you know, these drones have more damage resistance than you do. And or more health. So once you finish off all the drones, you want to go back up. Right now I'm looking around to make sure I don't hear any little insect wings flapping very, very rapidly, because I do not want to be ambushed by a drone. It's one of the worst enemies to ambush you because you can't get cover from them very easily at all. Now here I'm triggering some drones, some of which may focus on us. And I'm also triggering a combat between Elite Honor Guard and Brutes. Usually the Brutes and drones win because they have an obvious advantage here. They're better numbers. They have, you know, the advantage of drones, being able to shoot at them in a lot of different positions. I usually like to tilt the fight just in case towards the Brutes and drones, because I know I've got weapons right now that can kill them a lot, in my opinion, much more easily than weapons that can kill the elites. I'd have to go find a plasma pistol and go backwards and all that crap. And I'd much rather, if at all possible, keep it like this for now. Keep the same weapons. I mean, there's a plasma pistol right there. I mean, obviously the drones are dropping them. You can use them. I'm going to take one now. I'm going to refill the carbines here, and I'm going to take one now just in case those honor guards didn't die. I can't hear the death screams because it's H2A. They really nerfed some of the ambient and, you know, music, the ambient sound, the chatter, and all those things. And so it's much better to be safe, especially when you can't see that you killed the enemy. If a brute killed him, then I'm not going to notice that by looking at the score or the medals or anything like that, which is the reason why I have it turned on. The sole reason I have that turned on is so I can know for sure if enemies have died. Obviously you don't need that. Didn't need that to play Classic, but so we get 5 drones that come through here who all should have died just then, but they didn't. My timing was a little off with those grenades. I probably should have thrown, I know I should have thrown them a little bit later on, but the good news is they're not really that scary if you know they're coming. So you do what you got to do there. If you stay behind this wall, they will not swarm you from the sides. This is great cover for them, from them. and then you just peek back out when you have shields. Spam the brute shot because you're not going to use it past this part anyway. Alright, so you're going to have a couple of jackals here at the front, including that one that I just had shot, yet it didn't register. The stick will work. The jackals and some brutes will be fighting again some honor guard. You can kind of see this is playing out roughly the same as you would imagine it, as you saw before. However, if you kill the jackals, especially if you kill the jackals early, which I would advise you do, you sometimes will get the elites winning this battle, and if they do, you might be in big trouble. The elites, one of the elites always has a carbine, and the other elite always has a plasma rifle, and they can be deadly with it, especially given the speed at which they move. They tend to aggro towards you more than a brute that's still alive. A brute that's still alive will kind of hide or maybe be in its berserking state. Elites will come around one of those corners even while you're staying at the door, and within a second and a half they can take you down. I like to come out of here with full grenades if at all possible, because we're about to take on 2 hunters in a very highly enclosed area. I also like to take a plasma pistol with me, or at least pick some up for the next area, and I'll explain that in a bit. So if I can find 2 brute plasma rifles, a regular old blue plasma rifle would do, but if I can find 2 brute plasma rifles, I'm a little bit happier here. So if you can get on this hunter in just the right way, you can kind of back him, stun him into staying with his back to you. It's very hard to do. I might be dead wrong about this, but I remember being able to do that strategy a lot easier in Classic. I'm not really sure if there's any reason to believe there is a difference in Anniversary, or if I'm just out of practice. But that seems to have worked a lot better beforehand. Now, this encounter with this hunter specifically is a really, really unusual one. I don't know if it's stuck over there or what, but it is not behaving properly at all. I am not wanting to get near it because it can melee you. It can one-hit kill you with a melee attack. It can also one-hit kill you if it knocks that crate into you. I've had that happen before and in some pretty decent runs. So, I'm taking my sweet time. Again, there were better, faster, sleeker runs that died or ended because of BS RNG or me choking it away. But this is the one that's deathless, so this is the one I'm going to give you. I mean, I don't know if there's anything I could do differently with this hunter other than be more aggressive and risk dying. And so, if you're playing this, you get a checkpoint right before you walk in the room. Feel free to be more aggressive. It really doesn't matter. Unless you're going for deathless, it really doesn't matter. Now, this is doing no damage to him at all. My main goal here with this hunter, and it almost always is regardless of how things go with the first hunter, is to stick him and then shoot him with the carbine from behind. Of course, the crate happens to get exactly on our way, even though it's way over here, and that grenade was stuck to him way over there. And we know the splash damage to the plasma grenade sucks, but I almost got splatted by the box there nonetheless. I don't know if it would have killed me given the force that was coming at me with, but it still irks me to look at it to this day to see that splash damage bounced that box. It's not like I have Sputnik or Feather or anything on like that, and there was no cowbell skull yet, so, anyway, stupid to gripe about that, but nonetheless, these hunters are taking literally, I don't even know if I started counting, these hunters are taking 2 to 3 minutes longer than they ever should. I was looking for grenades in the other room, by the way, and I see grenades. I know there's 2 developer placed grenades that we picked up that's near where that crate nearly splatted us, and then there's 2 developer placed grenades at the far end to the left. And I'm just gonna. This is something else too that I know I didn't see in Classic as much as I've seen in this room, is these hunters getting stuck into a position and just firing at you instead of charging you. I used to let them charge me, jump over them, and then shoot them in the back, or stick them and shoot them in the back. But in this case, he just stands there like a freaking statue. And I don't remember it being that consistent, as consistently as I've seen on H2A. There's something weird about their AI. I might be wrong and or paranoid, but there's something going on there. So this room can be a hell of a thing, man, after getting through the prison and all this stuff. So all the stuff that comes before it. So for some dumb idiot reason, that Jackal Sniper got shot 57 times in the face and he didn't die. But he died there. You take him out first, take this guy out next. That one goes inordinately easy. So I guess it's, you know, I guess it's a wash. So it looks to me like we got some great RNG here in the Covenant one. If the Covenant win, then you can be almost certain that once the dust is settled, there's no more Jackal Snipers. The bad news is sometimes the Hunter can be alive to enjoy that as well. There's also the strong possibility you're going to deal with 2 Rangers and Spec Ops elites that throw grenades and shoot very accurately. We'll get to that in a minute. Right now I'm trying to draw out the Jackal Sniper that can be on that tower. He is most clearly not on that tower, but I was being extra careful. The only other Jackal Sniper besides the 2 that we just shot, a minute ago, and the one that I was trying to draw out there is to the immediate left out this door. He is actually not that dangerous at all unless you go that direction. If you go right, I've never had him snipe me over here, but you do need to snipe him before you leave this area. I'm pretty confident, however, since I can hear the Ranger coming now, I'm pretty confident that since the Covenant won here, they were able to take care of that sniper. There we go. So here comes 2 Spec Ops elites. So the elites won in a rout, a major rout here. This is more elites alive than I'm used to seeing. So this is going to slow us down as well, but it's going to make things a little more exciting and a little more fun. We actually are in a massively advantageous position here. Be sure and remember this spot when you play this game. Regardless of anything you do, you may take this room a lot of different ways, but unless you're speed running, this is a great spot to come. So right now I'm looking for the final Ranger. I know he's still alive because there's nothing left to kill him. So we killed 2 Spec Ops elites, 2 Rangers, and a Hunter. So again, the Covenant wanted or I say the Covenant. Why am I saying that? The elites, the rebels. What's the word I'm trying to think of? They wanted a rout. The elite Hunter Grunt faction. That's what I'm going to call them from here on out until I remember what the real name for them is. But they clearly won this one. So right now I'm being extra special careful just in case for some weird reason. Just in case for some strange reason that that Jackal Sniper over there was hiding this whole time. Be sure and pick up grenades. These are developer placed. Be sure and pick up grenades if you need them here, because now I'm going to show you, very awkwardly because I'm not particularly good at this kind of stuff, I'm going to show you the only grenade jump I'll do in this entire series. You need to get up on this frame here. I miss it there. Just practice this. It's really not that hard, especially for people that know how to do grenade jumps better than me, which is probably all of you. Get up on this frame here. If you get into that floating walkway there, halfway along the way, as that floating walkway is carrying you there, a Jackal Sniper spawns. You can't kill him before you get into the floating walkway or up here. And once he spawns, he can ignore you. He can spawn on one of either side. He can totally ignore you. He can somehow, with magic knowledge, know that you were coming and come out and shoot you regardless of never having seen you. It is a crapshoot as to what his alert level is, which side he spawns on, or whether or not he completely ignores you. It's a total crapshoot. It's totally random. And of course he's faster. He's a quicker draw than you most of the time. So I come up here. He seems to have a lot of trouble being all quick draw with you when you're up here. Be careful, pace your self and take your time and such, but notice how I didn't have too much fear when he wheeled around on us there when I had to land the 3rd shot on him to kill him. One thing to keep in mind though is that this fight can end. You can see a brute melee, berserking and kill him. And you can still have an elite hiding over there. He won't be aggressive unless you come up to him most of the time, but I like to make sure and kill him because he can be aggressive. If he sees you, if you're staying there, he will shoot you. And you know, it's a really crappy way to die. You know, they tend to blend in with the scenery a little bit more, those Spec Ops elites, so with their purplish armor and all this crap here being purple. So I just make sure they're both dead. 2 Spec Ops elites. In this section you have 2, I usually only see 2 Spec Ops elites, but there could be 3 that are fighting. I'm pretty sure it's always 3 Brute Honor Guard. Keep your distance, take good shots, and all that jazz. Here what we're going to do is we're going to grab a fresh beam rifle from this crate. Right around the time you get close to crossing it, you will get a checkpoint. As soon as you get that checkpoint, immediately move to this section. This almost always works. You get over here, you look out, and you will see 2 Rangers coming for you that are up high that have clearly came out that door. I don't know what the reasoning is, but for some reason they got out early. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe I walked past a certain point early on. I don't remember. I didn't just pay attention to them, but long story short, you should have a perfect angle on shooting them from this position. If you don't, look where I just looked. If one gets away from you, look near the walkway where you would be walking. Notice how he's walking there? Look up and around, but if you I've seen them on that walkway many times after you've already shot them. I'm not sure if maybe when their shields are down, they are scripted to immediately try to go for cover. Go to the ground. Maybe I don't know, maybe their shields can't recharge. No, I never thought about that before. It's possible that their shields might not be able to recharge unless they're on solid ground. Either that or they got a really big delay sometimes when they're in the air. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. 2 Brutes, I believe, and 2 or 3 Jackals come through to an elite and grunt squad that are set up and ready to take them out. Actually, this battle doesn't seem to have a consistent winner, so just be careful. But I don't really care. I'm in a perfect position to take all these enemies out. The only enemy that can really screw with me here, especially early on, is the Spec Ops elite with the carbine. So I focus on him regardless of anything. Sometimes if you take out these enemies early, you'll see an enemy get stuck over here, so I just usually, take them out like that. Pretty easy. So once you get done there, then go pick up and make sure you leave yourself a fresh beam rifle. Go get this beam rifle over here because you will need it for the next section, and you won't have access to a beam rifle until you don't need as much beam rifle as you'll have access to. So that's the only fresh one that remains until you get to a point again where you'll have plenty. There is a carbine case over here that you can re-up your ammo there. I do like to take a look around and make sure nothing survived. Again, same principle as before. It's rare to ever die here, especially to an ambush like that, but you never know, so I like to make sure and be careful.
At this moment, the councillors gather on head.
So, in this section, you're going to have drones fighting elites. If the elites get a major advantage or start to win this battle, more elites will come through the door, oddly enough. If the drones win, then more drones will come through the door. I feel like it's a lot easier to hunt, find, and kill elites than it is drones, so I usually go ahead and kill those 2 drones that are flying through right away, nearly and almost always guaranteeing that the elites will win the battle. The good news about the elites winning the battle, besides the fact they're easier to kill, or hunt and kill, is that the next group, regardless of who wins the battle, is always going to be 2 Jackals and 2 Brutes. And so they do a good job, obviously, of helping to thin each other out. However, if it's just drones left over, no elites, then I've got to fight I've got to fight drones, Brutes, and Jackals. So, needless to say, there's no reason to let those two drones come through here and have any negative influence on the battle with respect to what you want. If you want the drones to win, though, then feel free to let them fly on through. I actually think that's pretty cool because you can kill 2 of them with 1 shot, and they're scripted to go and do the exact same thing every time, so it's really easy to know exactly where they're going to be. So enemies can get coy and hide in here. I don't have it happen much. This room is a very terrifying room for speedrunners. But for casual players, this is one of the easiest rooms. You can sit back, let this fight unfold. You don't have to walk through it while everything's going down. So I usually like to take 2 needlers because there is, again, plenty of beam rifle in the next section. It's already served its purpose in that room. So now I'm looking to take the needlers over here to take care of any brutes or potentially grunts that get a little too close for comfort. The grunts will not be aggro towards you. They don't even act like you're there. They instead will spend their entire time in the panic mode as 2 brutes come from the walkways that are right in front of us. You see one coming right there. 2 brutes will come in. They'll try to kill these grunts. The more noise you make, the quicker they'll be to get over to you. I usually would rather them get over to me faster rather than slower. Grunts will run you off of this platform. So that's why I focus on being able to kill both. That got way too close for comfort. It's just this game's garbage, really. That's all it comes down to. Just don't stand on a crate, or don't think you're safe over by those rocks and that landscaping. There's really no safe place except for to stay right here, let them come up this little hill here, and just, you know, expend all the needles until you're done. And if you lose some of those, then pull out your carbine, or if you run out of ammo for that, pull out your carbine. There's swords nearby. There's a plethora of ammo options here. You just want to make sure and leave this area with your weapons of choice. I strongly advise you leave with as full a carbine as you can manage and a full, fresh beam rifle located here. Nothing over here, nothing on this side here. So you can come over without having to worry about grenade jumping up to the top. This is an easy part if you know exactly what's coming. There's usually and almost always 3 brutes. I've seen 2. Just stay back here. You're out of range for them to be able to shoot you, and just spam the carbine until you get the headshot. That one will berserk. He'll make his way down here. Shoot him with whatever weapon you want. I forgot earlier, actually, it really doesn't matter. You don't need to grab a beam rifle back there because there's some that's right here. And we won't be coming back to this room. The enemies in the next area can actually penetrate this room to come and get you. You're not safe retreating back to here. That's one of many reasons why I do this instead. So I immediately take out the only Jackal sniper in this room, use that case to jump up to here, and now I'm going to let this battle ensue. Right now there's some brutes and grunts that are fighting. You can imagine who comes out on top there. I don't know if there's any elites in this area. I'd love to see this battle tilt towards the brutes, though, because they seem to be a little easier to spot when they're berserking near the end of their time with this section. That didn't sound right, but I don't care. Immediately snipe that grunt. Kill that grunt as soon as possible. He's the only threat to you up here unless you're looking over this overhang and exposing yourself in all sorts of crazy ways. The grunt can shoot for you from way back there. Just like in Regret, his fuel rods track, and so you definitely want to prioritize him. I'm prioritizing the elites here because the brutes are not for some reason, but I think the brutes are... Yeah, there they come. So there's brutes from down below us, and there's brutes that come through that door. There's one more spawn, as you just saw there, brutes. They can come through either door. I'm not sure what decides which door they come through, but I've seen them come through both. Just make sure you're very careful, because that brute who's one-handing that carbine will shoot at you if you're exposed enough, you know, / close enough. And there isn't a whole lot of cover up here. You just gotta kind of backpedal and hope to God that you can backpedal fast enough, because, you know, strafing and all that crap doesn't matter. He's got a hit scan weapon, and he is perfectly accurate with it on legendary difficulty. And he spams it as fast as you can spam it in H2A. That's probably more of an advantage to the player playing H2A than it is the AI, but the AI spam it a lot faster, just the same way that you can spam it a lot faster. I don't know why that is, but it is. So here, I'm just looking around to make sure there's nothing left. I don't want anything ambushing me as I take on this section. We have 2 elite spec ops elites in pure and wonderful camo that's much easier to see in the old graphics than in the new. I sniped them both because they have swords, and And I need to get through here and stuff. This grunt is wasting our time. So now I'm going to see if I can find that fuel rod gun. I really, really want that fuel rod gun really bad. And so should you. It usually isn't packed with ammo, although there's odds that it will be packed with ammo. So with the sword, it's one-hit kill on these grunts. They are also permanently in panic mode in this room as far as I've ever seen and known. It's possible, I think, maybe that they can attack you, but as long as you kill their leader first over there, that one guy, as long as you kill him, they're in forever panic mode. So this guy has a weak shield, so I'm just going to spam the carbine until he's dead. So the goal at this point, what you're going to see me doing for the next few minutes, not few minutes, hopefully just a couple minutes, is taking the weapons I want out of their cases and placing them in this room. The reason why that I do that is because once you pass the threshold near that door up there, all these cases will glitch, by some sort of glitch, certainly some sort of glitch, they will all close. I'm not sure if weapons that are dropped by you disappear, but I'm almost positive that weapons that aren't dropped by you, that are developed, placed, or dropped by the enemy, will disappear or have a very strong chance of disappearing once you get up and essentially once you trigger this door to open. So I move the fuel rod out of the way because there's going to be a lot of grenades coming into here. We're dealing with Spec Ops, Grunts, and Elites. And that fuel rod can get blasted into the geometry. That's why I was very careful. Oh, crap. That was my fault. I was relying on the bullet magnetism to do the job that skill should have. But the reason why I didn't throw a grenade or come in here guns a-blazing with that, the invisible elite in here, is because if I do that and things get really explosive in here, that fuel rod can get shoved into the geometry. So my strong advice to you... My strong advice to you is to take it out of the room. It may take you a few extra seconds, but you don't want to lose that fuel rod. I cannot believe how long it's taken me to kill that stupid elite. That's not the game. That's totally me. All me there. Probably a little adrenaline running because, in my opinion, the rest of this level is fairly easy if you know what to do and know what's coming. It's not easy, it's just regular Halo 2 crazy-ass difficult. It's just no longer Gravemind hard, which, you know, is that other level of hard that this level is so excellent at providing the player. So, and I should also say I'm nervous because on this very same night, much earlier in the evening, when I was much less tired compared to what I was when I was playing this game, when I was playing this particular run through, I had gotten all the way to the end, and I choked it away. I choked away what was on pace to be about a 55-minute run through this level. I mean, finishing the level in about 55 minutes. Choked it away. And I'll tell you what that was whenever we get to the part. It's the very final battle. One that I haven't died on in a very long time on Legendary difficulty. Or on any difficulty for that matter. If you know how that battle goes, it's not hard. But I choked it away. 6 Spec Ops Grunts and 4 Spec Ops Elites in this room. If you've been keeping count, you might have an idea of where we're at. I think I've killed 2 Elites and maybe 2 or 3 of the Grunts. I've missed a lot of opportunities to kill elites faster than I have here. You can charge into this room. I don't advise you do it unless you know exactly what you're doing and where you're going. Or, of course, he ducked that plasma bolt that was locked onto him. Wow. Thank God that wasn't a... Thank God we weren't exposed there and needed to get that overcharge to hit so we could get to cover or kill him before he killed us. So one thing you can do, if you know what you're doing in this room, if you're willing to get a little risky, is you can go ahead and trigger the brute and 2 jackals that will come through that door that we were just facing a second ago. They'll come through that door, the front lower door, and they can put some pressure on these guys. You can take advantage of the distraction by running past them all, by killing enemies that are weak or weakened or otherwise engaged in battle and vulnerable to your carbine. There is one more. I remember. I'm almost positive I remember this. I think there was one more grunt in here. And I don't remember. Yeah, there we go. So we spawned the brute and the 2 jackals. I think it's when I came back through here with the fuel rod, is when I ran across a grunt that had somehow survived all this craziness. You know, I just thought about something too. If you're not running this trying to be deathless, or you're just more comfortable with it than I am, less jaded, if you can keep the Marines alive up to this point, certainly in points that we passed prior, but up to this point here, you got a really strong chance of getting through here a lot faster, by the way. That's just something that should be known. They're likely to get killed because of the grenades. We talked about that earlier, but at the same time, they can make rooms like this go a lot faster by providing the same kind of distraction that, or relatively the same kind of distraction that can be had whenever you're watching 2 of your enemies face off against each other. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe there wasn't a grunt. So immediately start spamming your fuel rod right over there. The entire and whole goal right there is to kill that jackal sniper and maybe put some pressure on the brutes so they'll go down a lot faster. Remember, they don't have recharging shields, of course, so the more damage you put on them, the quicker they are to kill. And the elites and I believe some grunts are holed up in the middle of this bridge with a plasma turret. And it is possible for the elites to get so routed here that you have to deal with a lot of brutes. And while that's not necessarily scary because they won't charge this room unless they're berserking, it just takes a lot more time. And of course, ultimately will expose you to more risk. So we definitely, with those fuel rods, got that jackal. He is by far worth that expenditure of ammunition. We have 2 potential additional opportunities to collect fuel rod ammo. Plus, I use different weapons for the final parts anyway. So, if you can find that Jackal sniper rifle, be sure and pick it up and put it aside. I'm now looking for the beam rifle case. You want to take the beam rifles and put them in this room. This takes time, it's plotting, I understand totally. However, if you don't do that, then at some point when you spawn these 2 waves of enemies that will come towards you, at some point they can blast that case off into oblivion. Unless you are totally unreliant on those beam rifles, I would strongly advise you take the time to do what I just did. It's worth it, especially if you're wholly dependent on that weapon, or mostly dependent on that weapon. So now I'm going to try to spawn the elites, 2 Spec Ops elites and 4 Spec Ops grunts that come through that door. I am looking to kill the fuel rod grunt as soon as I can. Meanwhile, while I'm doing that, there are 2, I think, drones that spawn in from above you. I have never been killed by them before doing the strategy you just saw. I spawn that door open, or I cross the line and get that door open, have it spawn come through. I back away. Sorry for the audio, we had a problem. I think I mentioned that before. But anyway, read down below if you want to know why I turned down the audio. So, as you're backing away, I'm hopping and shooting. I'm trying to the main purpose of that is to headshot the grunt with the fuel rod because, as you know, tracking rounds. effing tracking rounds. They will track you all the way across that bridge, and they'll smack into you before you know it. So by far, if you do that strategy as I just showed you, it is the safest way to do it. These guys, none of these grunts come through with a fuel rod, but they don't really need to. We've got hunters firing their crap at us, and they are being a lot more aggressive right now than I am accustomed to. Sometimes they don't even care. They just spend their little time walking through, their little scripted walkthrough, but they got on me fast there, so I'm trying my best to conserve. I want to conserve 2 full beam rifles for the final section. So my hope is that I can somehow inflict some damage or some pain with the beam rifle that I picked up from the Jackal. However, I do not, so I'm going to use the fuel rod cannon because I do have plenty of ammo for it, and I also have 2 possible ammo drops for the fuel rod that I can run across. So we did clearly do some damage with the beam rifle spamming because we just killed both of those hunters in one shot. Usually it takes 2. Sometimes it seems like it takes 2 direct hits. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to look for the fuel rod ammunition and hopefully stumble across it before the final battle of this level. I do stumble across it. It's right there. It gives us 6 rounds, which is really nice. We're almost back to the capacity we came with. So in this battle, the brutes and the elites face off, right? At some point there will be reinforcements of hunters on the elite side and brutes. If you get too caught up like I can with trying to take care of these elites, because I want the elites dead, they are the bigger threat in my opinion because they are ultras and one of them has a fuel rod. If you get caught up in this too much, the hunters, if they can catch you off guard. That's how my beautiful 55 on pace to get 55 minutes out of this level. That's how that run ended, by me paying too much attention to these elites. And notice how right there I dodged the bullet, but I was watching in the corner of my little eye. So stupid. A full fuel rod right at his legs and it goes through them. I think it damaged him, but it didn't stop him at all. That's ridiculous. But that's Halo 2. So notice how here I'm looking to make sure there isn't any ultras hiding. Now this is the next fuel rod drop and we get 7 fuel rods. The max you can carry is 30, 25 with 5 in the clip. We are very good here. So as soon as Cortana starts talking, hold on. Yeah, we've already passed. So once you pass the magic line and all the enemies are wiped out, Cortana will start talking. Once she does that, you're on a timer here for this door here to open. 2 Spec Ops Invisible Elites will come through, 2 Elite Ultras, and 1 Counselor. You want to focus here on the Invisible Elites. They are the toughest ones to deal with. They are toughest because they charge you. These elites, the Elite Ultras do not. These guys charge you. The only problem is that you have no real aim assist there at all. I think you have some bullet magnetism, but no real aim assist in dealing with them. They're very hard to snipe, but top it all off, maybe the most important reason they're hard to snipe is because oftentimes, what are you going to be doing? You're going to end up hitting one of those Ultras, wasting a shot. The only good news is that, they're not that hard to take out, especially if it's only one of them. If it's only one of them, then you'll figure out which side they go to, spam your grenades, spam your fuel rod, eventually he'll die. There's the 2-shot on the Counselor. And now we can focus on the final elite. The last man standing. I'm ready to stun him with the beam rifle or stick him with a plasma grenade. Look at this. I stuck him with a plasma grenade, I sniped him, and he still didn't die. I still had to fuel rod him to kill him. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely stupid. So, in a little less than an hour and 10 minutes, we are out of Gravemind with the Deathless run. I don't know what to tell you about how to do this painlessly that hasn't already been said. The only thing I can tell you really, or advise you on, is to just not try to run this Deathless unless you want to deal with a lot of frustration and pain. Especially on H2A, and especially without any sort of skulls or sword flying or speed running tips, tricks, exploits, or whatever it may be. So, but you don't have to run it Deathless. That's the cool thing. So, but if you want to, I hope this guide helps you out. Certainly if you want to complete this level, this guide should help you out a lot. But if it doesn't do enough to answer your questions or to address your concerns, please, please, please leave comments. Even if they're nasty criticisms, trust me, I'm a big boy, I can take it. Like if you like this kind of content, subscribe if you want more of it, and click on that notifications bell so you know whenever I've got one that's come out, a video that's come out that's hot off the presses. This is JP3 signing out. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you very, 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 very much for watching.